I don't think I'll ever forget the sound of the garage door that night. Slow, hesitant, like it didn't want to open. It was almost midnight when it finally groaned upward, followed by the soft thud of her heels against the concrete. Emily never wore heels to work anymore. That's when I knew something was wrong. An hour earlier, I had been sitting on the couch with my laptop open, pretending to work but mostly staring at her last message. Working late tonight. Don't wait up. It wasn't unusual. Lately, working late had become her favorite phrase. As an event coordinator, she'd always had erratic hours, evening meetings, late-night setups, but the past month had felt different, distant. And that night, something in my gut twisted differently. So, while absent-mindedly sipping my cold coffee, I typed something I hadn't planned to. "How's Jake handling the new client load?" I didn't expect a reply. But 20 minutes later, the garage door opened. When Emily stepped in, she looked startled to see me awake. Her makeup was perfect, not smudged or faded, but fresh like it had just been applied. "Hey," she said softly, forcing a smile. "You're up late." "Yeah," I said, watching her hang her coat. "I thought you were working late." "I was," she replied too quickly. "Just got off." "Funny," I said, my tone deliberately even. "You must have broken the sound barrier. It usually takes at least 40 minutes from your office." Her hand froze mid-motion. "What are you talking about?" I stood up slowly, my heartbeat thudding in my ears. "I texted you about Jake." Her eyes flickered just a second, but I caught it. That subtle flash of panic before she forced it away. "Oh," she said, clearing her throat. "Yeah, I saw that. Jake's fine." "Really?" "Yes. Because you came home 20 minutes after I mentioned him." She frowned, feigning confusion, but her breathing had changed. "Shallow. Even." "David, what are you implying?" "I'm not implying anything," I said quietly. "I'm just asking." She sighed, tossing her bag on the counter. "You're being paranoid again." "Had a long day. I just want to shower and sleep." She started walking toward the stairs, but I stepped in front of her. "Emily," I said, my voice shaking. "Are you seeing him?" Her eyes locked onto mine, wide, wounded, defensive. "Are you serious right now?" "Jake's my coworker, David." "That's it." I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to. But something in her tone, too sharp, too rehearsed, made my stomach knot. Over the next few days, I told myself I was imagining things. I replayed our history like a desperate movie reel. Our first date at that tiny diner near campus, our late-night talks, our wedding under the oak tree at her parents' house. But the distance between us kept growing, small things at first. She started showering immediately when she got home. Her phone, once left casually on the counter, was now glued to her hand. She'd smile at texts she didn't share. The worst part wasn't suspicion, it was the silence. Love doesn't disappear all at once. It fades in pauses, in the things you stop saying, in the moments you look at someone and realize they're already gone. A week later, my chance came. Emily had left her phone on the nightstand while taking a call downstairs. I stared at it for a long time, my conscience fighting with curiosity. I hated myself for even thinking about it. But the truth was eating me alive. I unlocked it. Not because I wanted proof, but because I couldn't sleep another night not knowing. The first thing I saw was a message from Jake. "You looked beautiful tonight. Wish you could have stayed longer." My chest tightened. I scrolled up. "Emily." He was asking questions again. "Jake. You have to be careful. You know I can't have this getting out." "Emily. I know. I'll handle it." He doesn't suspect anything. I don't remember breathing. The phone felt like it burned in my hand. Every word blurred into the next. Downstairs I heard her laugh, that soft, familiar laugh I used to love. Now it sounded foreign, cruel. I put the phone down, sat on the edge of the bed, and stared at the wall until my vision went numb. When she came upstairs later, she looked surprised to see me awake again. "Still up?" she asked. "Yeah," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Just couldn't sleep." She smiled faintly, oblivious. You worry too much, David. He nodded. Yeah, maybe I do. Then, as she went to plug her phone in, I added quietly, tell Jake I said hi. Her hand froze midair. When she turned to face me, the color drained from her face. What? You heard me, I said. Tell him I said hi. You two seem close. Her eyes widened. You went through my phone. I had to, I said. Because every time I looked at you lately, I couldn't tell who you were anymore. She stared at me for a long time, guilt flickering across her face like shadows through broken glass. Then she sank onto the bed, covering her face with her hands. I didn't mean for this to happen, she whispered. Then why did it? Tears welled in her eyes. It just started small. Late nights, venting, feeling understood. You've been so distant lately, David. We barely talk anymore. I didn't think you cared. I laughed bitterly. So you filled the silence with him? It wasn't like that, she said, her voice cracking. It wasn't supposed to mean anything. But it did. She didn't answer. The days that followed were a blur of cold politeness. We coexisted like strangers sharing the same walls, two ghosts haunting the same house. She begged me to go to counseling, said we could fix it, said it was just an emotional thing that went too far. But those words meant nothing anymore. Once trust breaks, love becomes a hollow echo. Still, I wasn't ready to let go, not yet. I needed to understand why. So, one afternoon, I asked her to sit with me at the kitchen table. Tell me the truth, I said quietly. How long? She hesitated, twisting her wedding ring, something she hadn't worn in weeks. About 2 months. I nodded, staring at my coffee. Was it worth it? Her voice trembled. No. But I didn't believe her. Because if it wasn't worth it, she wouldn't have risked everything for it. The next week, she packed a suitcase and went to stay with her sister for space. That night, the silence of the house was unbearable. Every picture frame, every dent in the wall, every faint perfume trace on the pillow felt like a ghost of what used to be. I walked into our bedroom and sat on the floor beside the bed, holding the photo from our honeymoon, the one where she leaned into me, laughing, sun in her hair. I wondered if she ever looked at that picture and missed the man in it. Probably not. Because the truth about betrayal isn't just losing someone. It's realizing they'd already left long before you noticed. Months passed. The divorce papers came quietly, like everything else between us had become. She didn't fight for much. Just her clothes, her car, and the freedom she'd already taken. I found out later that Jake had been transferred to another city. Word got around that his marriage ended too. I guess karma keeps receipts, even when you don't send the bill yourself. It's been almost a year now. Sometimes, I still wake up expecting to hear her humming in the kitchen or the soft rustle of her hair against my chest. But then I remember, those sounds belong to another life. I'm not angry anymore. I've learned that forgiveness doesn't mean excusing what happened. It means freeing yourself from the weight of it. Few weeks ago, Emily called. Her voice was softer, older somehow. I just wanted to say I'm sorry, she said. You didn't deserve what I did. I know, I said. Are you happy? She asked. Pause. Getting there. She laughed faintly. You always were stronger than me. When the call ended, I sat there for a long time, staring at the quiet phone. In a way, that conversation was closure. Not the kind that comes from apologies, but the kind that comes from realizing you've finally stopped waiting for one. If there's one thing I've learned from all this, it's that betrayal doesn't just break you. It reshapes you. It forces you to see who you are without the person you thought you couldn't live without. And in that space, painful, empty, and raw, you find something stronger than love, clarity. I don't check her social media anymore. I don't replay the what-ifs. I just live. Some nights when I drive past her old office, I remember the message that started it all, the one where she said she'd be working late. And I smile, not out of bitterness but out of peace. Because now, I know that the moment she came home 20 minutes after I mentioned Jake wasn't the night my marriage ended. It was the night I stopped lying to myself.